Hey folks, Reloading Bench back with you again tonight. And tonight's focus is on this bag of pre-1982 goodies that I have cleaned, re-blued, cold blued, and this one's actually sitting in oil to saturate the bluing and has been for about 2 days. These got cleaned and sandblasted to a degree. And what they are going to do is replace some of the components on my 600 Junior on the sides and areas that you can't see. So let me move the camera so you can get a better view of what I think I'm going to do. Okay, so of the parts that I received, the pre-82 parts, pre-1982 parts, there's 3 essential parts. The wad holder, which on my MEC, my 600 Junior, is plastic. On the pre-crimp, that's plastic. And the crimp, that's plastic. I guess polymer is probably a better phrase. So I don't know how successful or how much I'm going to show trying to replace the parts. These two are obviously very easy with screws. This one, not quite sure how that's going to work out. But because this is, and again, I haven't taken this apart, so I don't know how this is put in there. But when I scan back over to my bag of parts on the bench there, we'll look at what I've done so far. But those are the 3 targets for the kit that included everything, including the base. But that's what I was after, was old metal, old steel. All right, more to come. All right, so hopefully it looks like you can see. Let's start with the big bag. So these parts were the worst in terms of condition. So over the years I've looked, let me get a towel because that's going to be a little oily from my bluing. So over the years, off and on, I'll search eBay for the most part for parts, and I had it in the back of my mind, okay, someday I'm going to replace the polymer parts. And the 600J that I have for the most part has a smattering of polymer parts. So what I did was, and I don't know if you can see that, the texture there. So this was starting to pit out from rusting. It was pitting in a couple places. So I bead blasted that, bottom, top, and sides, which then took off all the bluing. And then I cold blued it and have let that set for a couple days now. So I will wipe that a little cleaner so you can see the finished product. Came out nice. I'm happy with it. Again, could have been worse. And I will continue to keep an eye out because this is the worst piece for the shuttle. And it looks like there's a black piece in here where now there's a red. I could care less about the color of the piece. I'm sure I can pop that out, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And it looks like a different design. It looks like the plastic is just molded into the current metal back of the 600J, so I don't know how easily this will be to replace. So we'll see about that one. This piece here looks to be part of the resize unit. I'm not quite sure based on what I'm looking at. So again, cleaned and oiled this. I'm going to throw them back in the bag. Let the bluing soak that oil in, because I'm not doing this tonight. This is I'll call this the presentation video. And these are the key parts. This part, the pre-crimp, or the crimp starter, whatever you want to call it, this was in really, really nice condition. Chrome was very nice. A couple little rust spots that I scraped off and oiled up. But what was really nice was when you took this apart, and again, this was all cleaned. This is what the really cool part was. This was almost black. And in fact, I didn't even know it was brass. I found a corner of it. I'm like, is that brass? And as soon as I put it in the blasting cabinet, that just came back to life. And, you know, it looks, in my opinion, beautiful. And again, that's, I'm going to guess, yep, by jamming my finger in the 600J, that's a piece of plastic. So to have parts that last is just beyond cool. I mean, the cool factor is awesome. So everything was, again, cleaned and oiled. Obviously not oiled in here, but anywhere there was metal. And this part is just, I would say, gorgeous. And this is as simple as it looks to be, replacing a couple of screws. So I may need to modify this and replace with the parts that are on there now. I mean, this comes out relatively easy and things come apart, but we'll see how that goes together for the crimp starter. Again, just looks beautiful. This was a little rougher, a few more rust spots. I blasted the rust away and then oiled it up and cleaned this out. So again, this looks to be quite nice. We'll see how well it adjusts when I mount it in. And again, not sure how easy that's going to be to mount to the 600J, but we'll find out. So that is the parts that those are the parts that I'm going to use. I received a few more parts that are duplicates of what's already on the press, so I'm not going to be using those, but that's kind of where it sits right now, and we'll see what that looks like on the press. For completeness sake, we'll look at again, about the same size, and if I put my finger in there, I'm touching the crimp at about the same level. So obviously that's to adjust it down or up. So we'll see what that looks like, because it looks like there's some play to some degree here. So that means that will come up a bit. And it looks like this is very similar in that it'll probably sit at the exact same height. Hopefully it will, I'm thinking maybe this will go on the other side based on the room there, which again shouldn't be a problem. So we'll see how that works out. And I don't know what I'm going to do about taking the wad. I don't know how I'm going to take that. Yeah, that part is just a cheesy piece of plastic. So I don't know how that comes apart. I'll have to look at a schematic and see what that is. So more to come for sure. And back again. Reloading bench back with you. And I stuck to my whatever I mentioned in the 366 video about the primer on off breaking my code of showing everything to you real time. In fact, I don't think that video has been well received. So back to my norms of doing little breaks and in between. So these were the parts I took off the 600 Junior. Again, nothing wrong with them. They're just plastic. Polymer, I guess, is a better word. Polymer with some metal pieces. And this, again, this is super plasticky. In fact, I'm gonna bet, I don't even know if that's removable. Don't care. I mean, this is great for upgradability or changing. So I guess I could have kept this. This was the most challenging to get out, and I'll show you how I got that out on the press. This was, unscrewing the nut, and this was about the same. This being the nut to unscrew that, drop it, and just comes right out. And then I put all the new pieces in and then did a quickie test and have a nice crimp on an empty shell. So it works very nicely. I'll point you over to the press. Let me reposition the camera so you can see all the new parts, the new old parts. And there are the new parts. So metal. So the back plane metal, that all components metal. And I bet you I could tighten that. Maybe I'll tighten that that nut a little bit so that doesn't wiggle around as much. But in order to get this out, you basically have to take the top off, take out the powder drop. You don't need to loosen this, which I didn't know at the time, because you need to punch this back so that this drops, take it out from the bottom, put the new piece in, and then punch this through the top. And did that show up? This is what I was talking about, punching. So punch it back so that this comes out, because it essentially just rides on top of that. So just taking things, unscrewing some bolts and some nuts, and that's about it. Very quick fix. But I like the fact that it brings it up to modern oldness of lots of metal. I prefer the metal. I'm a metal fan. And somebody asked me how easy it was to take the handle off. So let me try and move the camera back. And the handle, actually let me reposition